Hello to everybody watching, listening, and welcome back to Mechabellum. It is time for some more replays. As you might have heard from the last Mechabellum video, I was kinda out with a cold. I'm still not back to 100%, so if I mess up some things, please do not be too angry with me. And in this game, believe it or not, I'm going to play a bit of Aggro. Yeah, I never want to play Aggro. And the sole reason is because I think Aggro is an absolute menace. And after a day of work, I really do not need the struggle trying to stay alive at all costs against someone playing Aggro. I just want to play a standard gentleman's game, have some fun, play a bit, and that's all. Aggro just feels like your opponent is repeatedly slapping you in the face and you're trying to stay alive. I really hate that. Anyway, in this game, things are a bit reversed. So at the start, my opponent is going aggro with sledgehammers, and I think my thoughts in this moment were, oh come on, can't even the people who are lucky enough to get sledgehammers and supply specialist, a really good specialist, can't they at least play normal? Come on. Yeah, that happened. So my house rules are, one of my house rules is I always play standard, but if my opponent goes for aggro, then all the rules are out of the window. So in this turn I decide, you know, I have steel balls, why don't I just play a bit of aggro? Especially when in the next turn rhinos drop. And I'm thinking, you know what? Rhinos. My opponent, however, is of the more smart variety. As you will see, he's going for scorpions. As I have just spoiled, am going for rhinos because, yeah, let's try him out. I am still, or at this point, I was still in the stage of heavily experimenting. My opponent is going for arclight range. I'm putting a rhino in the flank here. He has added the scorpion and the range, and I think that was about everything he did. Or he put another arclight here. I have thrown down more steel balls. So I have a pretty fast army that's moving in from behind the tower line. Meanwhile, my opponent has a pretty slow army at the front line. This rhino is not doing much other than tanking a single shot and single scorpion shot and then some more other shots. This was a really fat hit. However, the fat hits are over for now because the rhino has taken the tower. I should say the rhino and the crawlers. This thing is latched. Can take down 2, but the last steel ball annihilates it, and that is a pretty substantial win. Next turn, my opponent goes for Vulcan range, I go for the steel balls here. The extended Vulcan range, not really sure what chaff he wants to counter, to be honest, but I guess maybe he thinks I'm adding more. He's going for the range on the scorpions. He's also putting a scorpion and some fangs here to defend against the rhino. What do I do with my remaining money? I've put the amp core here and leveled those steel balls. I add on wasps and crawlers. Some more crawlers to come in and distract all of this, and some more wasps to generally annoy the enemy. Because at the moment my opponent really does not have any solid anti-air. Oops. This rhino is not long for this world. Did it even get a single hit off? I think not. This rhino as well is not exactly... it's not really going to achieve much other than block some shots. Steel balls here getting rid of the fangs. The scorpion putting rounds into now more important targets than chaff. This is getting annihilated. Sorry, I had to cough for a moment. My army is taking the tower, and now, unfortunately, with the tower debuff, this scorpion cannot efficiently take down the arclight, and the entire army falls to steel wall and wasp. Next turn, he takes shield airdrop, I take the absorption module because I want to test that. I do have energy absorption here, but this thing is just, it's 90% of damage instead of 40%, and it even increases HP. It increases HP enough so that a level 1 Scorpion, which does 1800 and change damage, can no longer take this level 2 Steel Ball pack out. However, my opponent has a level 2 Scorpion, and that thing can take almost twice as much Steel Ball health out. I'm adding in some more crawlers, I'm repositioning the Rhino, and my opponent is throwing the shield bubble down here. He's going for more and more Scorpions because he realizes he needs to clear stuff faster. I didn't expect this Scorpion. I think at least that one is new. I would be very surprised if it's not. So this thing turns around and boom. Well, that's an easy 400 XP. Shield goes down. The Scorpions move in. My opponent's army is now primarily Scorpions. Steel Balls are trying to do whatever they can. Chaff is doing its work as well, but my opponent has an Arc Light here as well. He has Sledges in there, so his Chaff there is actually pretty decent. A couple of Wasps here stay alive, but as you can see, my army is just getting absolutely blasted. And there's a couple of Fangs left to do whatever these Wasps need to be done, or need to have done to themselves. The Scorpions are just tanking at this point. Pretty hard win for my opponent, and my HP goes down a bunch. We both go for junior manufacturing in this turn. I'm adding on another Rhino and selling it. Sold the one that was here. I'm thinking about putting it here, but the targeting marker still, it has nothing here. So I decide to put the Rhino in this position here. But I didn't even think about this Scorpion, of course, taking it down before the crawlers. I added Mech Diff, leveled the Steel Balls, and added more Chaff. On the other hand, my opponent added more Fangs. This is a pretty nice pull. A lot of stuff is being pulled from the front. However, not enough to beat the army that is here. I also added range for the Steel Balls. I'm not even sure what I added it for. I was just, you know, trying out stuff. This army is now moving in, and it's a big problem. If I had gotten to that Scorpion before and could have destroyed it, that would have been a huge win. But even so, there is another level 2 Scorpion, and yeah. Complete and utter annihilation on my opponent doing it to me part. Next turn, opponent goes for Vulcan. I go for the Phoenixes because the Scorpions are a real problem. He is adding more levels. He has now double tagged Fangs here. And they are rather numerous. He's also adding in more Scorpions. This is not looking good for me. I, on the other hand, have of course assembled my Phoenix line. I should really sell this Rhino. He's put another Scorpion here just to intercept it, I guess. I'm adding Overlords because at this point the ground war is a lost cause, honestly. The Overlords here should hopefully get rid of a bunch of stuff. So now the fight is once again underway. This Scorpion turns around for a moment and decides, you know what, nah, everything is already dead. Starts to blast. It is not even necessary here, but it annihilates some more Steel Balls. At this point the ground is basically lava, not for too many Vulcans, but everything that exists on the ground just dies to Scorpions. There's so many Scorpions here. And even though my opponent still does not have any longer range anti-air than range Fangs, there's just too much HP for these poor units to take out under the tower debuffs. Fight is looking pretty desperate right now. My opponent takes top supply specialist. I'm thinking maybe speed specialist. I'm leveling my units. My opponent is doing the same. So now my opponent has level 3 Fangs here, level 2 Scorpion, level 2 Arclight. How are you ever going to flank this? I'm not sure what unit you could put there. I'm adding wasps to my overlords and adding another overlord, of course. Another set of wasps, I think, here. But I should have really... I was hoping, or should I probably say coping, on copium, that maybe the fangs can delay this, but let's just be honest. Level 3 double tag fangs against single wasps with no levels. Take a guess what happens. So this army is moving in, he has his shield again. However, this time at least that scorpion goes down fairly quickly. And there is an army of overlords left. These wasps weren't happening. The phoenixes still stand tall, and now there's a lot of damage, but these fangs take down the towers super quickly. In the end, it looks pretty much like the last turn. Too much of a health pool to destroy under the tower debuffs, and the fangs are furious. However, this turn I have a couple of good hits here, and that scorpion was not close enough to be locked onto quickly enough. So I actually take a turn here with the last overlord just falling. The opponent skips. I am going for orbital bombardment. This is a menace, and it needs to be destroyed. Levels are coming down, and triple tagged fangs now with shields. How am I ever going to beat this with steel balls? Rhinos. Overlords are actually decent. Phoenixes are atrocious against them. I'm thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking, how can I spend my money even remotely reasonable here? I should probably have put a couple of levels onto this tower at least, because that would have helped immensely. But since, well, I guess that's something that's not just aggro. That's also something you should do in aggro defense. I'm putting another overlord here in order to try and maybe intercept this one. I think I sold one here, or did I position that last time here as well? I'm not entirely sure anymore. I'm throwing down a missile, but yeah, there's not just the fangs moving in, there's also the scorpion. If anything, I should have maybe put it here or something. Adding more overlord, adding more wasp, and then I take one last item, and that is the high explosive ammo for the wasps in an effort to try and maybe clear out the fangs, but triple tag fangs against single range wasp, single tag wasps. And he has levels on the fangs too. Basically, if I had put a Vulcan somewhere, I'm pretty confident the Vulcan would have gotten annihilated. I think if I were to replay this, double Vulcan with both fire missiles, whatever their name is, and also oil missiles, oil, whatever you call it, would have been pretty good, I think. Anyway, the missile is hitting, but it's not hitting anything that really matters. And then suddenly, level fangs are moving in under double tower debuff. They take down level 3 overlords, they take down level 2 overlords, and that's just it. Well, that was about my only ever aggro experience, and I have to say, it sucked.